Hello, and thank you for joining me again. Today I've got a bit of an update, which is on a new period for me and a new scale. Something that I've been looking at for a while, but once I'd finished all of the Spanish Succession 6mm stuff, I thought I'd get some test units painted up, and this is the first one completed. So I'm going to turn the camera around and show you what I've been working on. So here we have it, a 10mm unit for the Franco Prussian War. Now, these figures are from Pendraken, and they are lovely, lovely sculpts. I'll give them a turn here so you can see what I'm talking. This is a Prussian infantry regiment, 65 I think it's going to be. It's made up of 3 battalions, 2 normal line and a Fusilier battalion. The only difference is in the colour of their belts. So the Fusiliers have black leather, the ordinary line infantry white leather. Apart from that, they're exactly the same. And at this scale, the black leather belting doesn't really show up very much when you paint it, so a bit disappointing. I've done them in the greatcoats, and that was because, the Franco-Prussian War starts in August and has 2 phases. The first phase really only lasts until the very first few days of September, and that's when the Second Empire of Napoleon III started the war, invaded kind of 3 kilometres into Germany, and then in a series of bloody battles got beaten back, and the whole of the army was bottled up in Sedan and Metz. For that phase, I don't really find either of the combatants particularly sympathetic. On one hand, you've got the Empire of Napoleon III, and on the other, you've got the new coming Empire of Prussia. But after that disastrous start, the second phase really kicks in, and that's the phase of the Republican, the new French Republic, the Third Republic, when, quite remarkably, they continued to fight for another 5 months, really, into the beginning of February. Not with a great deal of success most of the time, but certainly much more interesting to me than those early battles. Now, because the second phase was fought mostly in November, December and January, it's quite often in snow or in bad conditions, and hence the greatcoats here. I've also not stuck these down on the bases. These are just blue tacked in the time being because I want to decide what size bases I would go for. These are 40 by 25, and I think they work okay. So there's 10 figures to a battalion, effectively. And yeah, I will get some MDF and base them properly. How I'm going to do the winter bases, I haven't decided, and that's going to be another series of thinking through what I want to do. I can immediately see that getting proper texture between the figures is going to prove challenging. Anyway, a couple of thoughts about these figures. The detailing is very good, very crisp. There are one bit that I found a bit frustrating, mainly because I just didn't notice to start with, and that is on the top of the bayonets in some cases there is a bit of flash that needs to be cut off, and I missed it. And had to go back after I'd done the undercoating, or in some cases even started the painting, which I found very frustrating. And the second thing to say is that generally speaking, I'm not a fan of cast flags as standards, as this unit has, for several reasons. One, they're always too fat. Two, you then have to paint them, and they're difficult to paint, particularly if they put furls and creases in the flags. And the more complex the design on the flag, the more of a challenge it turns out to be. I think this has come out all right, this flag, but I did have to spend a bit of time on it. I have noticed actually that Pendraken do separate flag bearers with just the flagpole. I'd missed that when I put the test order in, but I think I might be getting some of those for future battalions. Right, I'm just going to turn the camera off and then show you something else. Right, these are the rules I'm intending to use for the Franco Prussian War. I'm not sure how I came across them now, but I'm glad I stumbled on them because they look really interesting. It's a fairly big book, but the rules themselves don't take up a great deal of space. What takes up the space in this book are a whole host of very detailed scenarios of battles from the Franco-Prussian War, particularly the Republican phase of the war, and orders of battle and organisational charts. It's a mine of very useful information on the minutiae of the battle. And even if you're not interested in the rules themselves, those scenarios are fantastically well laid out. I'll just show you one very quickly so you can get an idea of what it looks like. So here, for instance, this is battle on the 27th of November, Villers-Bretonneux, and as you can see, there's a very detailed map. Fantastic resource. If you've got any interest in it at all, I'd do some research on this and see if it's for you. Right. Okay, thank you very much. I think that's everything for the minute, and I'll see you again next time.